things is what kept me going while I was going through cancer. My team was able to use some of that content, some of that work that I did before. So I was prepared. And so that's why I always tell people, don't wait until something happens to start preparing. Act now. We're talking about action. Act now. There's no time to wait because life is not promised. Time is not promised. And it's not that bad things will happen to you or, your story won't be my story, but life is going to happen to me and you.
Right.
Right.
Life is going to keep lifing.
So one of us we just have to be prepared, right? So that's the next one. The next one's partnership. We talked about this, right? So who are the people in your life? Remember, I got diagnosed with cancer and I was alone because the world was shut down, right? But I was never alone because people were on FaceTime every day praying with me in the morning before they put the IV, the connection.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show hosted by Lindsay Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started.
Hey, First Class family. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show. I am your host, mindset expert and speaker, Lindsay Vertner, and I am super excited for today's guest. We're going to get into who that is and learn all about her in just a moment. But I do want to take a second to just acknowledge you for being here and really being intentional about the life you're creating for yourself, because I know that you are a high achieving leader and you could be doing anything in the world right now, but you are here with us, helping yourself to maximize your impact and create a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So you know how we do. We ain't got time for bios and all that stuff. You can find it right in the show notes. Go check it out right there. We're going to hop right into the discussion and get into these gems, okay? So let's welcome today's guest, Ms. Nyala Thorpe. Hey.
Thank you for having me. Hello, guys.
Yes, welcome. So now, I know we've been following each other on social media. We just connected on TikTok. I don't know how we missed that one. But I want you to tell the First Class family, who is Nyala? Let us know. Peel back the curtains and give us the good, juicy tea, okay? Who are you, girl?
And I got tea, right? Okay. So, yes, I am from Brooklyn, New York, originally. I am what they would say is a church girl, so I grew up as a church girl, but with and also Caribbean. So my family is from Trinidad and Tobago, right? And so that's like a triple, being from New York, being in the church, and being Caribbean. It's like I was raised with so much pressure of being perfect and always having good grades and no talking back and just a lot, you know what I mean? And so this is where my story gets so opposite of the norm, right? So I started rebelling a lot at the age of 12 or 11. And it got so bad that my mom had to make a difficult decision to put me in foster care. And so at around 13, 14 years old, I moved into the New York City foster care system where I stayed until, I started adulthood, so you see how different that story is, right? Really, yeah. So whenever I come on these interviews, whenever I meet women like you and I just start sharing my story, I'm like, listen, it's going to start off this way, but then I'm going to take things up. I'm ready, right? Because a lot of people don't see, oh, you're from the Caribbean, oh, you're from the church, and they don't see how did you end up, in foster care? How did that happen? And so that's my story. That's the backstory.
Girl, well, look, we're gonna get into that because You mentioned the pressure to be perfect, which I know I can relate, okay? And I know many of the listeners in the First Class family can relate to that as well. But then just, I can only imagine what you felt like at 13 for your mother to put you in foster care.
Yeah.
Tell us what emotions you were going through, because I'm sure that only created a lot of limiting beliefs that dictated your behaviors as you grew into an adult. So share with us about that.
I felt unloved. Whenever people ask me that, that's the one word. I'll give you a lot of words. I felt abandoned, you know. But unloved is the one that stuck through because it changed my decisions, you know, in my dating life and everything. Feeling unloved by the people who are supposed to love you the most, right? I felt like unwanted, you know, like, where do you belong? Right. And then because I was a church girl from a middle class family, when I got there, I was around children who had been sexually abused, children who was growing up in drug and alcohol abuse. And I didn't belong there either, because they looked at me like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always felt like unwanted, like I didn't know where I really belonged. You know what I mean? And as a child, that had to be, now that I'm an adult, now that I'm a mom myself, who's dealing with a child who's going through some of the same things that I went through, I can say, wow, what a decision my mother had to make.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole life I grew up with, and I never hate to say, wow, it's crazy. I'm so happy to be on this interview. I've never said this. I, at one point, had hate for my mom because I couldn't believe it. But then now that I'm a mom, I'm like, where could she have been mentally to have to make that decision for her child? I couldn't understand it then because I was only 13. I was only 14. So yeah, I felt unloved. I felt unwanted. I felt like I didn't belong. And those things really did weigh on the decisions that I've made in my life.
And thank you for sharing that. Like, I don't know what it is about the First Class Live Show, but we be okay.
Oh. No, right?
You. So, quick question. Did you have other siblings, or were you an only child?
I had a sister. And so yeah, my mom and my stepfather, my mom and my stepdad got married when I was about 6 years old. And then they had me and my sister is about 9 years apart. So then they had my sister. But by the time they had my sister, I was on my way to the group home. So I did not grow up in the same house with her for too long.
Okay.
Which also aided to a lot of feelings of, well, you kept that child, but didn't keep me.
Right.
Why? Right. You know, as a child, you don't understand that, but that's what it feels like, you know,
kind of like you're being replaced,
you know, like what is it? I went through a lot of anger. I developed anger issues that I am working on now, and I'm about to be 40 years old. And I'm now starting to work on some of that anger that I've held on to for decades. You know what I mean?
Kudos to you for working on it, because I know that is not an easy journey. That's why everybody ain't living the life they love. Otherwise, if it wasn't hard work, we would all be living the life that we truly desired. But it takes mental work, emotional work, physical work, sometimes financial investments and things like that. But kudos to you for doing that. And that just illustrates that the things from our childhood affect us as we grow up, and we have to be intentional about healing those traumas. And just because your trauma doesn't look like such and such traumas doesn't dismiss it as a trauma.
Right.
Because we're human. So we've all been through some level of trauma in our lives. And so I want to ask you, like, What did that do for your identity as far as, your mom just gave you up to foster care, then you have these kids that's like, you don't belong here. Like, and at a time whenever you're really just starting that journey of figuring out, like, who am I as a person, those preteen years. So what did that do for your identity in that moment?
I've never been asked that question. So in all honesty, I don't even know how to answer it. But what I will say is that I always feel like if I was just in the moment, like when I was in church, I was that church girl that sang in the choir, that did all the things. When I went to the group home, I was the girl in the group home from the church. So I started a choir in the group home. They ended up bringing a reverend from the Bronx to come over to the group home for the first time. We had a choir. I started writing skits and we would act and do all types of things because I learned that in the church. And so just because I got there, I feel like my identity was just what it was in that moment. If I felt like smoking a joint, I smoked a joint. I felt like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like my identity was just what it was. It was Nyala. And it's so crazy. Like I said, I've never thought of this question, but as I'm speaking, it's like, wow, I've always just been who I am. Take it or leave it. Like, the identity is I'm who I am. That's why my mom had to do what she had to do, because she couldn't take who I was, so I don't think it really affected my identity in a way of me feeling like I was living a different life or living a lie or being something else or not knowing who I was. No, I always knew exactly who I was, and I was a rebel at heart then and now.
I love that. I love that. So what advice would you give to a leader that may be listening right now and maybe they don't have a solid foundation of who they are? Do you have any advice that you could share with maybe on how they could start to connect with who they are?
Are you loving the First Class Live Show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/First Class Life. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/First Class Life.
Yeah. And I think the best thing is spending time with self. A lot of times we are always everything for everyone. We are always doing all the things that we think we have to do while putting ourselves last. If we spend more time with ourselves, we start to learn ourselves, right? But if all you do is spend time with people, even though it's great to have time with people as well, you don't even know what you just said, identity. You don't know your identity. You don't know what your favorite food is because you always go to eat with where Sally eats and Josh eats, or you understand where do you like to eat, right? And how do you, it's just, I think it's spending time with yourself allows you to learn yourself, know?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So how were you able to get time with yourself? Because I know being in the foster care, you're surrounded by all these people. So what was your escape so that you could maintain time to yourself?
Well, you know what? That's probably something I shouldn't tell people, but but at that age,
you just started now. We're all ears, okay?
I hope my son don't hear this. At that age, honestly, when I was high, I used to feel like I could spend time with myself. I used to do a lot of thinking. But that wasn't good either,
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because that just plays into the habit of oftentimes people will use drugs as an escape of some sort. And that drug can be anything, even outside of marijuana or, well, there's different ways to get high. So like marijuana, pills, cocaine, heroin, like all those different things. And so those can be an escape. But then some people use alcohol. Gambling can become a drug. Anything that you become addicted to becomes your drug. And so that absolutely makes sense because that's why people use drugs, for that escape. Well, it's not all the reasons why, but the majority of people turn to drugs to escape something that they are facing in their lives that is too difficult for them to deal with. And so that makes perfect sense.
And when you're so young, you don't know what you know now. Like now, when I want to spend time with myself, I check myself into a hotel. I do a lot of staycations now. You know what I mean? I do what makes me feel good. Today, I canceled my massage appointment for this interview, but I'm going to be going back on Sunday. I like to do that every couple of weeks. I have a standing appointment and I go by myself. You know what I mean? Traveling. Oh, if you've ever traveled by yourself, these are all the things that allows you to try new things. I think trying things allow you to start seeing what you like. It allows you to start seeing what makes you you. You know what I mean? But my daughter and I was talking about this yesterday. If all you were exposed to one thing, then of course, when you become an adult, that's all you know. So anywhere else, it's always going to feel uncomfortable or like this isn't my thing. So just trying things, So yes, when I was younger, it was the marijuana, but I am not an advocate for that now, right? I just think that you really got to find moments with yourself. Sometimes for moms, after work, we have a lot of leaders and professionals who may be listening to us. Sometimes just sitting in the car for about 15 minutes before going in the house, taking that moment to listen to your favorite song, to listen, these are the things that allow you to start getting back in tune with yourself. And when you're in tune with yourself, you can start to figure out what's my true identity? What makes me really happy,
Absolutely. And that is so true, especially with the mom. So any listeners out there that have children and your mom, like, we can sometimes be consumed in our kids. And I've seen it happen before, like so consumed, like I go everywhere with my kids go everywhere with me. I'm always at all of their things. And then when it's time for their kids to leave the house, like they have this breakdown because they've been so consumed for so many years that they don't even know who they are. And it's like, you need an identity outside of someone's mother.
That's what I'm saying.
Yourself before you were someone's mother. And so
exactly.
It's important to take that time away. And if you don't have kids, take that time away from your significant other or anybody that you're just constantly around. It is truly, truly important.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for sharing. Listen. Hashtag no judgment zone, okay? And a lot of places it's becoming more legal. So there's that. It's not even, a big issue. So son, if you are listening, this is a learning moment, okay?
Right. And I even say that to my son. Like, sometimes you have to realize that, your parents have experienced things that you have. We weren't always this well-adjusted, well put together adult. You know what I mean? I did things too. I got in trouble too. But here we are today, me being able to share my story, me being able to help people in the world. Here we are today. And that means that we want our kids who are listening. We want our young people who are trying and going through the same things we have to know that they can turn things around too. So me mentioning it on this interview doesn't mean that it's okay. But even if you do, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you.
Yes, I love that. So as you were going through your rebellious stage and, doing these different things, at what point did you realize, like, I don't want to do this anymore? Or did you have that point where you're like, I got to make a change in my life?
Yes. So I ended up in an 11-year abusive relationship, which I never thought that I would be in, because I always thought that I was this, I had it all together. Like,
Right.
yeah, I made mistakes, but I had a really strong foundation. I don't know if this is okay for me to talk about. I hope so. Can we talk about, okay, so there's a verse in the Bible, and it says, train up a child in the way he should grow. And when he gets old, he'll never forget about it. That's like the gist of the verse, right? And so because I was raised in the church, even though I took a wrong turn and I ended up in a group home, I ended up as a teenage mom, I ended up in bad relationships, right? Even though I took the wrong turn, there were still things that was ingrained in me as a child that I did not forget, right? And so when I ended up in this abusive relationship for 11 years, when we got to the 11th year, when we got to the 10th year, I was like, okay, what is happening here? This is not what I envisioned for my life. This is not what it was supposed to be. Why am I was raised to be rich. I was raised for riches, but pushing for rags. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, that was good.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is not the life that I was supposed to have. I'm a 4th generation business owner. I'm Nyala. My mom raised me to do more and be more. And so after that last fight where I got dragged into a basement where my kids is upstairs, I was like, this is not going to happen to me again. Well, at this time, I was in beauty school at the same time that this fight that I'm remembering happened. This was my defining moment. I was in beauty school at the time, and I was really good at doing hair. I decided that I was going to open up a hair salon. And I did the thing that I knew that would send this man over a mountain. I did the thing that was going to be the nail in the coffin. And I took his tax return and my tax return money, because abusers have a way of still needing you. You're everything. They abuse you, but you're still everything to them. So that tax money was coming to my account. Okay. So I took that money and my money and I opened up my hair salon. And I started going to the hair salon and doing hair. And every day I went to the hair salon, I started to feel more and more confident, where I didn't need this. Why was I putting up with this? What's going on? So one day, one of the sinks in the hair salon broke down, and I had to call somebody in to come and fix. And so the guy that came to fix is my now husband.
Okay.
I told you we had to spill some tea. Okay. So he came in and we met, we hit it off, and we started speaking, and it was like slowly I started to feel the strength to walk away from that relationship. And so that was my moment. That was my moment when I decided that things was going to be different. I was now, I had it wasn't my first business, but it was my first storefront, so I felt like a boss, right? And now I found the love of my life, who's the complete opposite. So I thought I was on. I was like, you're out of here, so it courage to walk away. It gave me the courage to change my life. That was it was about a year. This didn't happen overnight. It was about a year, but it took about a year of change where I was like, okay, and then we got married. We met and got married in less than a year. And and here I am now.
Nice. So there's so many things that point out in what you said. I know I want to ask you, was it scary for you to take that money and put it into something for yourself? Because I know that can be one of the biggest deterrents whenever people are in abusive relationships, even outside of significant others, because we can be in abusive relationships with our parents or with our other families or with our friends and things like that. But specifically in the intimate one, I know that money isolation can be a thing to help hold on to the person you're abusing, right? So was that a scary moment for you to take
No.
this money knowing that was going to set him
Nope.
off?
I was the breadwinner. I was the breadwinner in the entire relationship. That money wasn't his. It was mine. I took care of him. That was my child's, it earned income credit. That was my child's stuff. And I paid all the bills, and it was my money in his name.
Okay.
And that's why as women, that's why I love this show about leadership, and just as women, you have to stand in your power. Do you understand? Yes, I was being abused, but I was still the brains. I was still the person that he wasn't going to get anywhere without me. Do you understand? I just needed to believe that. I just needed to remember that. Do you understand? It wasn't, it was always me, So no, I was not. I was afraid more that I would go back. I wasn't afraid about the money, but I was afraid that I would go back. I was afraid that it would be like, now I'm making money. I have my salon. I'm getting clients. And now I'm going to be with this person because he was with me when I had nothing. He was with me, when I gave birth to my daughter, and I was now a teenage mom, a single mom. And I met him when my daughter was 2 weeks old. So it was like I had some attachments to him. It wasn't only abuse. It was like, this is the person that I've been with for 11 years, So I was afraid more of that, less about the money. And then God is a funny God, because he made me meet my husband at the time that I needed, because something about abusers is that they abuse you when you're alone. I was living in Pennsylvania with no family. All my family was in New York. I had no support here. It was just me and him. But when you have people, abusers tend to step back. And so when I met my husband was like, I just met him. So he wasn't my husband then, but it just happened. God made it happen the way it happened. And my child's father was not coming nowhere near me. I was like, I have a new man. Don't come back.
I know that's right.
Right. But no, I'm laughing about it, but it is the truth. That is how it happened. I felt I had courage because I met him. I had courage because this new person who I met gave me courage and made me feel confident that you're okay now. So stand up to this person and get out of this thing. And that's what I did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I wanted to point out in what you said was that, it took a year for that change to really process and come into fruition. But what you did was you showed up. You did the first action, and then you did the next, and you very specifically said, like, every day it got a little bit easier. The more that you went into the shop, you got a little bit more confident and more empowered to do what you needed to do. And it's so crazy because I did an interview before this, and that same kind of theme popped up. Like, oftentimes as leaders, we don't achieve our goals or our dreams or create the life that we want to live because we're waiting for the situation to be perfect. We're waiting for everything to align perfectly before we move. But sometimes the results don't come until we start moving.
That's right.
Now I've taken the first step. Now the next 2 steps are unveiled. Okay, so I take that step and that step, and now the next 1 step is revealed. Like, too often we hold ourselves back because we're too fearful of taking that first step to get out of our comfort zone, or we aren't feeling confident. But sometimes we just got to start moving, and then we start building that momentum. So I love that you pointed that out, because it was a process. It didn't happen overnight, but you started with one thing that led to another, that led to another, that led to a whole husband.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Take it one step at a time. And every time you move, every time you know how how sometimes you ask yourself, like, am I making the right decision? Like, is this the right way for me? It's like every time you are taking action, you start to feel good about it. And that's how you know you're going the right way. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why I wasn't afraid to take the money. That's why I wasn't afraid to open the shop, because I knew that this was the way to go. Every day when I was going and visiting places and, just deciding which spot I was going to rent and everything. Every part of it I felt good. I felt like it was the right way to go. And because it was the right way to go, I felt confident, right? And then the more confident I felt, the more I did. And then the more I did, the more results came. Then I met people. Then I did. You understand what I'm saying? And now we're here, so you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yes. So what advice would you give to any listener out there that maybe doesn't have that support system or doesn't have that confidence to take the first step? Like, what would you share with them to start moving and taking action?
Absolutely. So I have something called, oh gosh, here goes some more tea. I got an answer in 2020. I created a framework. It's called the 5 P's for dealing with the prognosis because of what I've been through. And one of those P's is partnership. Okay. When you're feeling like, I don't know what to do, I need to take action. I need to get confident. I need to partnership. Who is in your life? That's a big thing, because sometimes you don't feel confident. So the people around you will lift you up. But if you're going through it alone, then who's there to lift you up if you down? Right. And so my advice, because there are times when I don't feel like I have it all together. So that's when you tap into the partners in your life, the family, if you have, the friends, the co-worker, if you don't have. And listen, I know some people might listen and there are people who would say, but I don't have that either. Well, go walk down the street and find your nearest church. Go walk down the street and find your nearest community center. When you give, when you do, it makes you feel better. It helps you with confidence. It puts you in front of people and connects you to people who can support you if you don't have that support. So I would always say it's the people around you that will help you, And so and that's something for everyone to think about. Who am I around? Do I have people around me who could breathe life into me, or are they sucking it out of me?
Looking for amazing products to help boost your first-class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first-class life, because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com.
Listen, I don't know what's going on with today. Like I just told you about the stream right before. And hey, y'all got to make sure y'all are a member of the private Patreon community, okay? Because there's a lot of bonus footage, a lot of bonus resources, and including one where the previous guest just mentioned about the people around you and the importance of that. And you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with most. Like that's a very common saying out there. You've heard me say it before. She just talked about it in the bonus footage. So make sure you join the private Patreon community, because Miss Nyala just brought it up again. Okay, so it's a sign.
Yes, it is. I'm telling you, it is. They've written books about this. I mean, nobody would put a whole industry together on this if it wasn't real. We have to start tapping into our communities, tapping into the people around us, and making sure that we have the right people around us to tap into. You know what I mean? Sometimes these conversations, you realize this is an indication that I need to get around different people. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. So I think that this would be a great time to play a little game. Are you up?
Okay.
Yes.
I am.
Let's see. And then I want to get back into just a few of those P's with the prognosis, okay? So we're going to circle back to that. So let me pull up my timer. Now, this is a real easy game, all right? All you got to do is fill in the blank. So I'm going to ask, what is your favorite ... and you fill in the blank of what that is, okay? So real easy. However, you got to get it in 10 seconds or less.
Okay.
The pressure. So if you miss the buzzer, what is the consequence for everybody that's tuned in? Whatever you want it to be.
What's the consequence? You said a consequence. You didn't say a reward. I don't get that.
No, but see, here's the thing. There's positive consequences and there's negative consequences. We usually hear the word consequence and automatically assume it with negative, but there's positive consequences as well. There's a consequence to everything. So here's the thing. Let me give you an example. If you said that everybody has to do 5 push-ups for every buzzer that you missed, for me, that's a negative consequence because
it sure is.
I don't like working out. For somebody that loves working out and going to the gym, that's a positive consequence. They're like, okay, let's do this. I hope she misses all of them. Me, I'm like, girl, you better not miss that buzzer.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to do a consequence in this because this is going to be for health. So, because I love that whole idea of push-ups, but no. So you're going to have to walk around your block.
Okay.
Walk around your block 3 times. All right.
Ooh,
if you miss it, that's going to give you some exercise and get you having some time for yourself, which is what we were just talking about, but I'm not going to miss it. But that's what you got to do.
Okay. So if our good friend Nyala misses the buzzer, you have to walk around your block 3 times per buzzer. Y'all got it? Okay. So sorry to the folks that have like a really huge Mississippi block. But if you like working out, then that's not a problem for you. But like she said, that gives you time to yourself, gives you time in nature to reflect, think. So, it's all good. It's all good. So we'll start with something easy. What is your favorite food specifically? Go.
Pizza.
I am laughing because I keep talking about this phantom previous interview. Let's Yes. I'm gonna have to air these back to back for sure. So listen, y'all. Let me just throw it out there then, because now I made the declaration. So that interview was Aaron Fugate. So watch that one and watch this one. Watch them both on replay, okay? So yes, pizza, a specific type or just all pizzas?
Just pizza. I just love it. You know what? If I had to give a type, it would be pineapple pizza.
With just pineapple? Like marinara
pineapple pizza. I mean, oh my goodness. So a cheese pizza with pineapple is heaven. And what I expect heaven to look like. Or taste like. Or feel like.
Smell like, yes. I've had pizza with pineapple on it, but not as like the solo topping ever.
Okay, you got to try that, girl. Remember, in New York, we have pizza now, okay?
So next one, what is your favorite movie? Go.
Love Jones.
Ow. Why you pick that one?
When it first came out, it just made me feel good. Lorenz Tate was just so hot. I just loved all of his poetry, and the way he went after Nia. I just love the way they came back. Like love always prevails. It was just a good movie. I just love the whole. Back in the days when this movie was, I'm sharing my age here, but when this movie came out and they were in the club scene, and they were on stage doing spoken word, and everyone is like, that was before it was a thing, right? And I was like, I can't wait till I grow up. I'm gonna be in those,
right?
Spoken word. So I really, really love that movie. I would say I have a lot of good movies, but That has always been one of my favorites that I could watch over and over again.
Nice. Love Jones. Okay, so what is your favorite month and why?
My favorite month is October because it is the month that I was born, and it was the month that I came into this world. And, when I came, I took the world by storm, right? And so October is it. I also love October because I'm from New York, again, like I said. So we had the winter when it was really, really cold. And so October, and then I hate when I'm always sweating out. I hate feeling all sticky. So October just always had the great weather that, I could wear. I used to love putting on my Timbs with my jeans jacket and just feel good in October. You know what I mean? So it's not only because it's my birthday, it's also it was just the time you're going back to school. You just, you start your new school year. It's just so much great things happening in October.
Listen, and I feel like it's so pretty outside because it's like when the leaves are changing colors. I know one time somebody asked me, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, October. No, October. Like the color, like if you hear October, like you can instantly kind of picture a color scheme with October. Yep. So when's your birthday?
October 2nd.
Okay. So you're not a Scorpio, but I still love you. Love you. October 28th.
Okay, that's my stepmom's birthday. That's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're at the beginning, I'm at the end. You're not a Scorpio, but I still like you. Okay, so what is your favorite book, author, and title? Go.
The Game of Life and How to Play It. Florence Shin.
Okay.
Shin. Florence. Yeah.
The Game of Life and How to Play It. What's that about?
It's all about perspective. It's all about how you see the world, how you see situations, how you see yourself. And the book is written it uses a lot of Bible principles, which I actually love because, I'm from the church. So I kind of like seeing the worldly point of view and how it connects to what I grew up hearing and how it interprets into my life now. It really does change your perspective and how you look at things. Like, are you the person that looks at the glass half empty or half full, and I love that book for that reason. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So what's your favorite song?
You're just telling everything on these internet streets. All right. Well, my favorite song is a dancehall song. Okay. Dancehall song.
You missed the buzzer, but you still got to share it.
Okay. Okay. So it's like a rap and reggae by Foxy Brown, and it's called Run Them.
Run Them. Okay.
Run Them.
Sound like that's a turn up song, all right?
I know she's going to go listen to it after this interview.
No, I am, right? Okay, and so will the First Class family, okay? And so, FYI, in case y'all didn't get the memo, she missed the buzzer, so that's 3 laps that you got to walk or run around your block.
Sorry, guys, but you're welcome.
Okay. So now this next one, what's your favorite place to travel specifically? Go.
Trinidad.
Mm-hmm. So I have not been there yet.
Yeah,
so
it's home
I've been
for
to
me,
the Caribbean, but not that area.
Yeah, it's home for me, and it is relaxing. It is beautiful. The food is great. The people is great. They're, you'll have a great vacation if you go, even though it's home for me. So that's why I'm like, I would love it. I answered someone yesterday who asked me, well, if you were to be able to fly somewhere tomorrow, where would you go? And I said, Trinidad. Even though I know I could go anywhere, I would want to go there because that's home. That's where I get to see my grandma, and that's where I get to eat doubles and roti and listen to music. Just, yeah. I would tell everyone that you must go to Trinidad at least once in your life.
Okay, well, whenever that time comes for me, I'm gonna be calling you up like, girl.
Yes.
Where do I need to be? What do I need to eat? Who do I need to see? Okay.
Yes.
All right, last one.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
My favorite activity is Netflix right now. I can, catching up on Grey's Anatomy. It just puts me. It's where I unwind. When I come in the evening after work, I like to catch up on an episode. And, I love the doctor shows that is in the hospital. I learn so much about medicine from these shows. And it just makes me, it helps me disconnect from everything that's going on in life. You know what I mean? So for me, it's Netflix. Yeah.
Listen,
I don't have anything profound to say there.
No, that's fine. That is fine. Okay. The importance of embracing who you are and not being dictated by what other people say who you should be or who they think you need to be, and living up to those expectations. We all have to create our own path and only who God calls us to be. Because I hate when people are like, wealthy people don't watch TV, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and like some wealthy people do. Like, you have to figure out what works for you. So like for me, Netflix or watching a show or movie or something, like that is my time to escape, because my brain is always on and thinking, like I'm helping people here, coaching people there, speaking there, like it's always that problem solver. And so whenever I can sit down and watch Netflix or a movie, that is like my brain's time to be able to turn off and do nothing. And
Right.
If I don't get that time, it's like constantly on haywire. So you got to figure out what works for you. So I'm glad you said it's Netflix. Okay.
It's Netflix.
And that is okay. So thank you for playing First Class Favorites with us. Now, if you are new to the First Class Live show, make sure that you join our private Patreon community, because we have a uniquely curated list by all of our phenomenal guests of the First Class Live show, where we have our reading list, so our favorite books, our playlist, so you can get your jam on. Not everybody's a reader, and that's okay, but we have all our favorite songs. So Run Dem will now be added. Thanks to Miss May. And then we're all about self-care. So definitely a list of favorite activities to do. And we like to be cultured. Okay. So our favorite places to travel. So you will have access to that list and many more bonus resources and videos if you are a member of our private Patreon community. So click the link, join today, and thank you for playing First Class Favorite Things. So let's get back into these questions. Right now, I want to ask you about the First Class Life. Okay. So again, if you are new to the show, then First Class Life actually stands for an acronym. It's all of the characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your lifestyle as much as possible to be able to create a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. Now, I'm not going to tell you what all of those factors are. If you want to find out, you can do one of two things. You can either go back and listen to the very first episode of the First Class Life show, where I break down each of those factors, or you can go to firstclasslifeshop.com and buy the book. First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Creating a Life Full of Purpose, Fulfillment, and Happiness, okay? So do one of those two things. Meanwhile, we are going to ask the gorgeous Nyala Thorpe, which key factor of First Class Life do you resonate with the most?
For me, it's action-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if a lot of people, without action, there's nothing, right? So you can have the plan. But if you don't take action, it becomes nothing. You can do all the preparation. But if you don't actually take action, nothing happens. I feel like our lives should be goal and action oriented.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. And you've already shared that with us, how taking action essentially changed your life, getting out of that relationship and building your successful business.
Yeah, and exercise that action muscle. I'm a person that takes imperfect action. I'm very spontaneous, which is why I like to plan, because I know that I'm a person that if something comes in my mind, like right now, as I was just here in this interview, something popped up like, oh, Davio's would be good for dinner today. So I'm going to be taking an hour drive and going to Davio's. Why? Because I just thought of it. So I know that sometimes my mind is like that. And so I would be spontaneous and I would say, okay, I'm going to just run with it. And it's never steered me wrong. It has never steered me wrong. It is always a blessing or a lesson that I needed.
Okay. Always a blessing or a lesson. Y'all write that one down in your notebooks. So you mentioned about the 5 P's of dealing with the prognosis. Tell us about that. Like, what does that mean?
So yes, the best way to tell you is to share a story, right? So back in 2020, 4 weeks after the pandemic hit, I was in Vegas. I went to the Black Enterprise event with my mentor, having a great time, my first time ever in Vegas. And, I didn't know that I was walking around with a 4-point something blood count and declining. And so I got back into Pennsylvania and I went to bed one night, woke up in the middle of the night, not being able to see. And so my husband rushed me to the emergency room to try to figure out what is going on. But we're in the middle of a pandemic and the world is shut down. So he can't go in with me. It's like, drop me off, wait outside for over 8, 9, 10 hours. Why? Because within 24 hours, I found out that I had leukemia. And so now one day my life looks like this. And then 24 hours later, I have cancer and I'm on my first chemotherapy session. And so I had time, we talk about self today. We talked about I had time to be by myself because every day I was going to treatment by myself due to the pandemic. And so while I'm sitting in the treatment, because I am a business owner and I'm all about, taking my story and using my story to really impact the people in my life. I don't even care if you're driving me in a taxi. I'm going to impact you in some way. So I'm sitting in this therapy every day. And it came to me while I was there getting chemotherapy, the 5 P's for dealing with a prognosis. Everyone was following my story online and everyone kept asking me how was I going through it? How was I still smiling every day and doing live streams and showing them my blood work and all the things? And it was because of these P's. I just didn't know how to put it into words. Doesn't it? You know what I mean? Sometimes you can think it, but you don't know how to put it into words. Well, this framework is me putting it into words, right? And that's how it came about. So you ready for me to give it to you?
We're ready.
Okay. So here we go. So the first one is prayer, right? Because, and it doesn't have to be, I don't care what your God is, higher power, the energy, I don't care. There should be something higher than you that you believe in. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have made it through, even on ICU when they were telling me when they were telling my family my organs were shutting down, right? So there has to be something that you believe in, prayer, right? The second thing is pay attention to your tired. See, a lot of times as leaders, we lead, right? And so we want to be everything to our families, our clients, our pastors, the boss, everything. And we put ourselves last. We talked about this today. And that's what's happening to me. I told you I was at a Black Enterprise event, right? So I was running, I wanted to be a big time millionaire. I want to own $1 million business. And so I'm all over traveling, taking care of the kids, taking care of husband, taking care of clients, putting myself last, and didn't even know that I'm walking around Las Vegas with my blood count and my platelets dropping and I'm getting black and blues and I don't know where it's coming from because I wasn't paying attention. Mm-hmm. So we have to start paying attention to ourselves, right? Because our body gives us signals, but a lot of times we don't pay attention, right? All right. The third thing is preparation. You can't produce what you have not prepared. And so when I was in the treatment center every day, I kept wondering, people kept asking me, well, how's the business keep going? How are you still having content going out? What's going on? It's because I was preparing, right? So I was a business owner I've been a business owner for 20 years, right, Lynn? But I started this company in 2012. And so all those years of me working and doing things is what kept me going while I was going through cancer. My team was able to use some of that content, some of that work that I did before. So I was prepared. And so that's why I always tell people, don't wait until something happens to start preparing. Act now. We're talking about action. Act now. There's no time to wait because life is not promised. Time is not promised. And it's not that bad things will happen to you or, your story won't be my story, but life is going to happen to me and you.
Right.
Right.
Life is gonna keep lifing.
So one of us we just have to be prepared, right? So that's the next one. Then the next one is partnership. We talked about this, right? So who are the people in your life? Remember, I got diagnosed with cancer and I was alone because the world was shut down, right? But I was never alone. Because people were on FaceTime every day praying with me in the morning before they put the IV, the connection. They were praying with me in the morning. Clients was doing they're praying for me at the end of the coaching sessions. I had partners in my life, church people that was cooking food and bringing it to my kids because I'm in the hospital, right? Making sure that the kids were okay. Right? So who are the people in your life? And last is process. Trust the process. Because today I'm here in front of you speaking day 894 of fighting cancer in remission. It's 20. Okay.
Yes.
In 2020, I didn't know I would be here. And before 2020, I didn't know I'd be there. Mm-hmm. And so you have to trust the process every day and know that it is a process. Every day that I went through what I went through, I was becoming the version that God wanted me to become. I didn't know what was at that moment. Sometimes you don't know what you're facing and why you're facing it. But if you trust the process, and you follow these 5 Ps, you realize that where you are right now is exactly where you need to be because you are being positioned for your greatness.
Yes.
For your next level, for the thing that has already been ordained and designed for you. And so trust the process. We gotta stop complaining sometimes that everything doesn't look the way we want it to look, or things don't come the way we thought it was gonna come, and realize that it's coming the way it needs to come for us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we don't trust enough. We can't say, "Oh, I got faith," but then we're operating in fear. We're, overthinking things. We are, staying stuck in places that no longer serves us, right? This is this game time, y'all. Now I'm re-speaking. Now
yes.
We're in it, y'all. We're in it, y'all.
We love it. And that was the bonus P, position. Whenever you follow the 5 Ps of dealing with the prognosis, it puts you in position to prosper. Girl, look.
Look at that. Yeah.
That's the ending part of your statement there. Put you in position to prosper. So 2 bonus Ps. So right. Thank you. This has been amazing. Now tell us, how do you impact the world as a leader today? You just dropped all these gems. So First Class family, listen, definitely make sure you put this on multiple replay. Replay it 15 times if you need to, okay? But tell us how you impact the world as a leader today.
Yeah, so, I am a CEO, for Market Your Message, which is a coaching and consulting firm. And what I do, I'm like obsessed, and this is my calling, which is to impact women, empower them to take their story and their skills and change the world with it. Your piece of the world that only you can change, and standing in your power to do that. And I'm the person that supports you on that journey.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Now, what services or products do you have so people can get more of that?
Absolutely. I'm leading. I'm following here. But yes. So like I said, coaching and consulting. I have a community. It's called the Female Coaches Society. Because I like to work with coaches. I feel that coaches are the people who are changing lives. And so if I get to help one coach, I'm helping 100. So that's why I really, really like to work with coaches. But then I also like to work with service professionals, because I know that, and when I say service professionals, I mean people who do things with their hands. Because I know that you can't do it forever. That was me doing hair, right? Like, I know you can't do hair forever. Eventually, you're going to need to take that knowledge and you're going to need to transfer that on to people in whatever way that that suits you. But that's what I do. I come and I help you do that through my coaching, through my courses, through my live events, through my communities. I've been doing this since 2012. We've had 1 millionaire so far, okay, under my belt. Yes. Right. And that's it. And it's not about money. My brand, yes, I help you make money, but it's not about money. It's about what money can do. It's about how you can change the narrative for your family. You know, like I said in the beginning of my interview, I am a 4th generation business owner. So I know how blessed I am. A lot of people can't say that. But what makes them even better than me is they get to say they're the 1st generation, not the last. So, you know, I'm just continuing something that was started by my great-great-great-grandmother. But you start something that your great-great-great-child will be continuing. And that's what I get to do with my clients. So that's how I'm impacting the world, girl.
And we are besties, okay? Sister. So much synergy. We don't have to talk more. Thank you for sharing that. And y'all, make sure that y'all reach out to her. Speaking of reaching out, how can everybody find you in these internet streets?
Yes, so you can find me, Nyala Thorpe, or Market Your Message on any platform. And if you want to join my community where I like people to come, you know, I know that you can have a free gift. There's a lot of things that I can give you, but the most valuable thing I can give you is for you to join my community. And then when you come in, get to know me, get to know my team, get to know the ladies. It's over 6,000 of us in there. Like, we love to collaborate and connect as leaders, as women who are changing the world. So come and get to know us, and then you'll see if there's another way that I can help you.
Nice. And for those that are just tuned in on the audio side, that's Nyala Thorpe, Nyala Thorpe, Thorpe. Okay? So,
yep. And they can go to joinnyala.com. That's how they can get into the group if they would like to.
Got it. And again, we'll have those in the show notes so you can just click it, but that's joinnyala.com. Was that right?
Yep, okay. Got it.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much. This has been an amazing time. Just flew by, and I'm like, oh no, we're done already. But what is any final words of advice that you would share with First Class family on how we can create our first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness?
I would just say, guys, that remember you are wonderfully made, and you have a purpose. You have a purpose even on the days that you feel that you don't. Remember that every experience you face in your life is not for you, but it's for those you are divinely aligned to serve. So be fearless. Go out there, share your experiences. Sometimes you listen to people like me, you come on podcasts like this, and sometimes it feels like if the people who you're listening to have everything together. But no, we're just like you. We're just like you. We're just choosing to follow our purpose, and you should follow yours.
Take action, y'all, okay? Thank you so much, Nyala. We appreciate you for being here. And to you, again, First Class family that's tuned in, we know that you can be doing anything in the world, but you have spent the past hour here with us, and we are forever grateful. So continue to go out there, maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it, so embrace it. Until next time, we're here every week. See you later. Bye.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it.